Hi everybody, welcome back to Sticks and Stones Wood Carving. What I'm going to do today is explain a little bit about the tools that I'm using. I am using a small gouge set, a palm set called Files. Alright, this is my file set. It's a palm tool set. I have one gouge in here. This is a number 8. Alright, I have two V tools. This one right here is a little bit bigger than this one here. It's a little smaller. Okay, I'm not going to go through the sizes right now, but this right here is a small gouge. This is a smaller number 8 with the same type of sweep on as this one here, and the sweep is the U shape. Okay, that has on it. This right here is, we're getting into the smaller tools. This is another small gouge, but this is actually considered a veiner. All right, and this right here is a micro veiner. All right, for doing small lines. So I have these 6 tools that I've been doing these little tutorials with, and I'm using a flex cut knife. All right, so basically I like a big V tool and a smaller V tool, and then I want 2 small gouges, all right, and a veiner or 2, all right. And the veiners are really steep U-shaped, so they get a little bit deeper than a regular gouge, all right. For instance, like this right here, between this and this, there's 2 different cuts. But that's what I'm using. I'm using palm sets, okay. And you can get these wherever you like. You can get them in this, my Amazon store if you like, or you can look around and there's different sets and they all do different things, okay. So that's what we're using here. And what we're doing is we're going through and teaching different eyes and different noses and different expressions with mouths and lips and everything. And I think that's really good for the carving community, because there's always questions about eyes. There's always questions about noses and lips. And so I'm just going to take my time and go through these bags of basswood that I got in the next so many videos until I run out of basswood and get back to cottonwood carving. And we're going to use hand tools and try to explain as much as we can. Now, we already did a little eye, a sleepy eye. We did 2 sets of lips, and I'm going to cover even more eyes and different expressions. This right here, let me show you this guy. We might try to do one of these today. All right, this is I call this the ultimate eye. All right, and with this type of eye, it's a lot more detail, but I want to see if we could pull it off on this small piece. I was picking at it, and I did accomplish one. But to show you another way to do an eye, this one isn't as simple as the last one, but this one's a lot more detailed. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to accomplish here. And you see the way the iris here, you have the iris that's around, right, in the center of the eyeball, and then you have the pupil. Okay, and that's what the whole thing here is trying to separate those two and come up with this type of eye. All right, so round off your piece of wood. Take your knife and round off. All I did was round off a corner here, all right, and make it round so it's easier to put this in. And I'll show you how I would try and do this type of eye. Okay, here we go. Right now, I'm really not going to draw on this. I mean, this wood is so small. I'm using 1x pieces here. They're 1x3. They're pretty small and hard to hold in your hand. So what I'm going to do is, I'll try to give myself a little room here and try and keep it in the camera. And I'm just going to make a cut going across here, all right, to start off this eye. And I'm going to try and make this eye a little bigger than the one on top, because just for the fact that it's going to be easier to show you guys, all right? So I'm making a stop cut all the way across just like that. All right, and I'm going to come down to about here because I want to make it fairly big. We're going to shave up to that, all right? We're going to try and keep it pretty deep at the top there in the middle. And I'm going to keep stop cutting this as I go, all right? And as we get over to the corner here, we'll lighten up on the pressure. But I'm going to always keep going across with that stop cut to take this out, okay? To give ourselves room to carve this eye. Just like that. Pull it out. So I want it kind of deep in the center, and as we get over here to the side, it's not so deep in the corner here. Okay? Just like that. All right, so now we have a place to start putting our eye. Now, I can do this more and more, make it deeper and deeper. All right. I'm going to try not to do it too deep, because then I'll need bigger tools. I don't even know if I can get that little iris in this size eyeball, because you should have the size sweep for the size of the eye you're doing on your gouges, and this might be a little big for this, so we'll see if we can pull it off. Maybe I might have to make it with my knife. So I hope these videos are helping everybody. I wanted to get back to just teaching, and really that's what I started this whole channel and what it was about. And as you get making YouTube videos, you know, you start having fun, you start just trying to get videos on, and you know, you change up and you try different things and everything, but it really was all about teaching and learning on this channel, which is how I would like to keep it. And we can still have our fun and make different things, but expect me to slow down a lot and go back to kind of the old ways I used to do videos, which is pretty much like what I've been doing in these past few videos. Okay, so if you like that kind of stuff, let me know. Give me a comment, and hopefully I can help you out, and we can all learn a little bit more as we go. I mean, I learn every day when I carve, and it's fun to get back with the hand tools and the knives, because I haven't really been doing much with them in a long time with all the Dremel carving and stuff we've been doing. So it's always good practice for me, and I got to start figuring out some of the ways I used to do this stuff myself. So it's a great review for me also. All right, so we cut and shaved up, and we have our line going across our stop cut, and we made it fairly deep so we have enough room to put this eye in. All right, now the next two things we're going to do are to cut our corners in, and we're going to make a corner cut over here, and I want to make it down a little bit. All right, not too much of an angle. Okay, so we're going to take this corner and we're going to cut it out, and that'll start rounding our eyeball over. So right here, I'm going to put my knife, I'm going to push it in, pull it out, come up here, push that in, put it out. Now we have a V right there, and we're going to remove that chip from going from here to there and popping it out. Okay, and that'll give us some shadow there. We're going to do the same thing on this side if we have to flip it over. You guys see that? And same thing, we're going to dig our knife tip in, come over here, dig it in again. If you're not confident that you connected those two, do it again, all right? And pop that chip out. So now we have our eyeball getting some shadow on both sides, all right? And it's going to start forming that roundness that we want. It'll be easier to round this off. All right, so this right here, we're going to come back up to the top, and I'm going to grab my bigger V tool here. I'm not sure if I want the big V tool. Maybe I'll try the small V tool for this. But I'm going to come right in the crease there. All right, see where this is right here? Where that first stop cut creases. And I'm going to run my V tool there. Just like that across. All right. Blow the chips out. All right. And kind of smooth that out. Now this right here is going to be the beginning of our eyelid. You don't really see much yet. Now, the first cut we're going to make for the eyelid is going to be up in here. Kind of go slow to show you. We're going to bring it across, and that's going to start forming an upper eyelid. All right. You can't really see it that much. So I'm going to try and do that bottom cut again. Because the whole thing here is to have two eyelids. All right, well, two cuts for one eyelid is what I mean. All right, so the first cut we did in the crease. Second cut was above that. All right, so we have an upper eyelid in there. All right. Then we're going to come over here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to need our bottom eyelid. So we're going to, I'm not drawing this in, I'm just kind of going across. So I'm going to connect this. Just like that. We come down and up. All right. So that's the first cut of our lower eyelid. All right. Now we're going to do it again because we need 2 cuts for an eyelid, remember. See, so now we're starting to form it inside. Now this right here I could take down so you could see that. So I'm going to use my let me use my gouge here for a sec. And what we'll do is we'll take some of that like that out so you can actually see these cuts. Right. So we have 2 cuts for the first one. All right. 1. And then the second one is above that cut. 2. 2 cuts for the upper eyelid, 2 cuts for the lower eyelid. All right. Now on the inside here, I'm going to come to the corner again. And I'm going to make my corner cuts. Then we're going to pop that chip out. Same thing we did before. We're going to do the same thing here. This is going to be the eyeball, the eye mound that we formed for the eyeball and everything. And I'm going to pop that chip out. All right, so now we have this starting to round over. Now I'm going to round up. And if you have to stop cut that across the top of that to make it easier, that's fine. All right. I'm just going to round up with my knife and try and tuck that underneath that eyelid. It's really hard to see. So I'm hoping you guys can, because I can barely see what I'm doing here. In this video, I might have to redo it if it doesn't come out good. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I flip this over, and I'm going to try and push this all into this cut, okay? Because we want that eyeball round and a little deep in the corners. Push that into the lower eyelid, okay, like that. Just trying to shave that and round all that off. And this is the tedious process, is getting that round when it's this small. It's not so bad if it's a little bigger, but... All right, so we're trying to round that and keep it inside our upper eyelid and our lower eyelid. Yeah, the upper one definitely needs to be cleaned up. Now that I just hit the light, I see where I cut. And excuse me, my eyes aren't the best, getting a little bit older. So I'll just make myself more shadow there and then round it again. And the wood I'm holding, like I said, is very, very small. Of course, make sure you have a good sharp knife for this. Rob, you're stropping those knives, right, Rob? Okay, so now we have our eyeball inside, and we have an upper and lower eyelid, all right? And what I like to do from here, if I didn't get that cut to go all the way across on my upper eyelid, I'll take my V-tool and push it down. I want to make sure that that goes over top of my lower eyelid, all right? Like over here, it definitely needs some work, so I'm going to shave that. And then I'll take my knife and I'll make sure that this lower eyelid goes underneath that upper eyelid. It's kind of hard to see because there's a little bit of a mark here on the wood right there. All right. So you want your lower eyelid to go underneath your upper eyelid. All right. If you can get it. Now, a lot of times I'll just use my knife for that. A little bit of shaving. And we'll just flatten that out on the end and try to get this upper eyelid right here to go over top and overlap that. Okay. So if we got to take your knife and shave up to it, that's what you do. Okay. And if you hit anything, just try and clean that up. It's all about keeping the eyeball within these eyelids. And again, you have 1 cut, 2 cuts for both lids. All right. And then round your eyeball off inside those lids without breaking your lids. That's the big key. Okay, so right there you have that. Our eyeballs inside. I don't know if I can blow this up for you guys to see that. See that? The eyeballs inside. Upper eyelid, lower eyelid. 2 cuts for each. All right. Now, to do this type of eye, how big is this gouge? Okay. You will need a gouge with a pretty good sweep on it. All right. A circular sweep. This is a number 8, and it's going to have to go from eyelid to eyelid, pretty much, all right? So if this gouge isn't big enough, I would have to do it with my knife. But to do this type of eye, I'll just put this guy in the center for now. I'm going to push that in, just like that, all right? Give it a turn to create some shadow there. See that? I'm going to turn it, make sure with a little one that it will be kind of round right there. There you go. And I like that, so now I can deepen it. And it's got to go from eyelid to eyelid, remember. And I'll give it a turn. Wiggle it. And now I have some shadow around that eye. And this right here is creating the iris, okay? Then we're going to take an even smaller gouge, a micro gouge or a micro veiner, and we'll put our pupil in. And we're going to keep the pupil towards the top up here. Like so. By pushing that in. Now I'll take my knife and I'll come up to the top of the eyelid and I'll pop that out. And that's how you have that eye inside. All right. Now, this is kind of small, so I don't know if I can pull off getting that shadow with the cut out like that. By using the same gouge we did that with. And we're going to try and remove that chip around that. Just like that. And that'll set that shadow in there. And now we have the eyelid inside. The eye inside. Okay. And of course, we'll have to clean up any parts of that eyelid that are a little boogered from me not being able to see. And hopefully I can clean that with my knife. All right. But if you have a decent set of tools, like I said, and good lighting, your V-tool is really a finished cut on that very first one. Maybe I can get that with the smaller V-tool. It's just not quite pronounced enough here. Like I said, if this is a little bit bigger, that would be nice. But the whole purpose for this is to teach you how to put that kind of pupil in. Okay, so we'll wing it and just hopefully see what we come up with. Now up here, we could round that off, again, either with a small gouge or the big one that we used before. Let's see, this right here could work. And I'm going to take some wood out like this. I really should get a little bit better light here. To start giving him some grooves for eyelashes. Okay. And down here, what I'm going to do is take some wood out with this right up into the corner here. And that'll start forming the bag. I still can't get a hard enough line there. Right here. I want for that, the shadow on this lower eyelid. So you guys can see that. All right, so now we have that. Now I could run my micro veiner through this, all right, this very, very tiny one, okay? This right here will make little lines. See that? And the whole idea is to teach you another different type of eye. And you can always clean the little pieces up with your knife, like I said, to get that to look okay. I don't know how much you guys can see because I can barely see. So when I review the video, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, and down in here I would still want this deeper because I want that shadow. Just enough to see this eye. Okay, so we have the iris formed with our gouge. Make sure you use the same tool too if you want to redo that. And if it doesn't come out right, you know, or it's not quite good enough for you, you can always recut it just to get that shadow, okay? Make sure you use the same tool that you did before. All right. So now we have the eye inside, and we have a bag started here. All right. And again, you could always take your smaller V tool, your bigger V tool, and run a couple of small lines like that through that gouge cut that you made, and you'll start getting better lines for your bags. All right. Same thing up here with this bottom eyelid. There's something about that bottom eyelid. It's just, yeah, it's just breaking trying to use my big one. It's just so small, this piece of wood, trying to do it. I should have actually even smaller tools. And it was really my fault because I can't see. So, but you get the idea how to do that eye. All right. Oops, am I even in the camera? I'm sorry. So, that's how I would do one of these eyes. Hopefully it'll give you another idea of how to play and get a different type of eye in your carvings. And we can deepen any of these we want and go around with your V tool, flip it upside down. And I'm going to try and clean this part up. I did break my lower eyelid right here. Sorry, that's sometimes it's just what happens. All right. But hopefully it was enough to teach you guys the key points to making this eyeball. Okay. So that's another type of eye you can do. The ultimate eye. But and that would be more of a type of a kind of semi-realistic eye. And once you shave that down and get the proportions right, like I said, I should have done it on a bigger piece of wood, but I'm liking using these little basswood pieces. You know, I'd clean that up with my knife, and I'd make sure my eyelid was cutting good and everything, and then when you stain him or paint him or whatever, he'll be fine, and you'll be able to see what it is, that's for sure. So there's another eye for you. Hopefully you learned something. It gave me a chance to practice them again, and maybe we'll carve some wood spirits, and we'll start doing some things after all these tutorials, and we'll start using some of these techniques in those. All right. So thanks for watching. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video, and we'll see what else we can come up with to try and improve your carving. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.